Wandayi. Minority
Yes, Honorable Speaker, let me make a few comments on this matter. First and foremost, I must admit that I was taken aback when I read in the media that a motion had been forwarded to the Speaker's office about this bipartisan engagement. Because that couldn't have been a motion about bipartisan engagement for the simple reason that my coalition was never consulted. It has now turned out, of course, that it was basically a draft motion for the Kenya Kwanza side. Mr. Speaker, let me say this, and for avoidance of doubt, that we still have a lot of ground to cover. Because as we speak, there seems not to be an agreement or concurrence on the nature of these talks. As far as the coalition that I lead is concerned, these talks can only be extra-parliamentary. Two, as I've said time and again, before any motion can be brought before this House to set up or to set off this process of bipartisan engagement, there have to be talks about the talks. And I'm happy that my friend, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, has acceded to that. Mr. Speaker, the reason why we need talks about the talks is that first and foremost, that bipartisan committee must have clear terms of reference, must have clear mandate. Secondly, it must have clear time frame within which to accomplish its task. But more importantly, it must have clear mechanisms. Clear mechanisms have to be established for implementing whatever resolutions that committee may come up with. So that is the essence of talks about the talks. And those talks have to be as inclusive as possible, as I've always said. And therefore, without preempting anything else, our position is that we are ready and willing to engage in these talks, as long as they are as inclusive as possible and they are not confined to Parliament. Two is that my coalition reaffirms its commitment to the spirit of dialogue, as a way of resolving the problem that we currently face as a country. Because we are facing serious problems in this country as we speak. And it behoves us, the leadership, regardless of our political affiliation, to be in the forefront of trying to address those problems. And that bipartisan process is one such way, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, as long as the Kenya Kwanza coalition demonstrates utmost good faith, demonstrates political will, and comes forward with open hands and open hearts, we are going to engage. But any slightest indication of lack of good faith or lack of goodwill, we shall go back to the people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.